I am excited to introduce our newest custom container image, the Ignition Vision Client from Inductive Automation. So ThinManager has the ability to be able to run containers on thin clients. And what makes our containers different is that they have full graphical user interfaces and they don't require you to touch them at all. There's no operator intervention to get them to run and to use them. And so we have added our ThinManager magic into this particular custom container to make that happen. So you can see right here on my terminal, I'm running the container on 4 gigs of RAM, and I still have about a gig of RAM left to work with. I don't have a big load on my processor, and it's still running just fine. But I can go to my shadow here, and here's my Ignition Vision Client. One thing to note, I did give this container 3 gigs of RAM. I think you could run it as little as 2. I want to go below 2 though. So let me shadow this guy. You can see that it's running, and I can go and I can navigate to different screens, and I can see different things of the HMI. So here's a dairy plant example, and you can see that I have data that's coming in live, and the animations are working. You can turn the fan on and off. That's kind of fun. So this is working exactly as we want it to. You excited? You want to get started? Let me show you how. First off, you'll need a Ubuntu image. You can go to Ubuntu's website, download the ISO and install it. You'll also need to install Docker and get the Ignition Vision Client installation. And you also need the ThinManager Chrome container image from our ThinManager downloads website. All these things are kind of the preparation for what you're going to do to run the custom container. And you'll have to clone our repository. I suggest you either download it as a zip file or you can use Git to do that. So anyway, I have this Ubuntu image. I've gone through the preparation. I've installed a specific version of Docker 20.10, which is what we currently support as of ThinManager version 14. Otherwise, you'll get an error when you load a container image that you built from anything newer. So we're going to use this one. But let me show you, if I go in my downloads folder, I have my Ignition container. And you can see I've already taken the liberty of downloading from the Inductive Automation website, the Vision Client. So let me see if I can show you. Download Ignition. So we're going to go to the other operating systems category. And what you'll need for this is the Linux client. So you have to go all the way down here. You see there's a launcher. And then underneath Linux is the Vision Client launcher. So this is what I downloaded already. And I've extracted that, and it creates this nice Vision Client launcher folder. We also have these scripts right here that are used to build and run the container. This build script actually goes through the process of building the container. And what it does is it uses some Docker commands to build a Docker file, and it copies files over. It runs some commands to install packages and then change permissions of the files, because permissions are everything when you're doing Docker development for a container. If you don't have permissions to run things, it doesn't work quite well. So I just open it wide up, because if I don't have it wide open, usually things don't work very well. So the Vision Client Launcher folder, I have full permissions to, as well as the JSON file with the config. Then you can see this is pretty advanced Docker development stuff. So that's why I provide an example for you that you can play around with and kind of edit. Right here is the name of the container, that as it will appear in ThinManager. And this is the most important part, the start script, which is what ThinManager will use to launch the application that we want to run in our container. This install script is to install anything from the internet while we're building the container that's not included already. I put the menu packages because it's used by the Vision Client. This run script right here is used for troubleshooting and running the container on this Ubuntu image. And then we can use freerdp to be able to get into that with a username of user and password of Z to get onto that image. And then this start script is the most important thing, this is where we actually launch the Vision client launcher, and we're able to point it to a configuration file that has what server we're using and what application we want to launch. So this is the gateway name and address, and somewhere in this is my project that I want to launch, which is the IA demo. I suggest that either you can try to modify this file, or you can make your own in the test environment and copy and paste the JSON into your own, which might be the more safe way of doing it. But I do it from the container environment because you can see that has some container-ish peculiarities that we probably want to maintain here, like these paths. So this is just a note. And then I don't think this is used for our purposes. And this version is actually pulled and used while we build the container. So I've been incrementing as I've been doing testing and development with my container image. So once I have all my files the way that I want them and my scripts the way that I want them, for you, you're probably just going to edit this file and extract the Vision client launcher. We're going to actually open up a terminal, and we're going to build the container. So we'll do the build sh script, and we're going to do our sudo passwords, and then it's going to build the container. And it's going to take 3 to 5 minutes. Depends on how fast and how beefy your computer is. While that's building, I can show you how you can actually test the container. You can do the run sh script. So I already have a working container. Oh, okay. I think that's because we're actually building the container right now. So let's wait for this guy to actually finish. So this 1.8 is actually going to output a file, and this file right here, it's going to appear here at some point, and that's the file we're going to copy to the ThinManager server to install as a container or run as a container. Okay, so now let's look at wait a little bit of time. Looks like there's no errors, completed all 5 steps, and the container is built. So this is exactly kind of what we want to see during a build process, and it gave us the version 1.18 like we wanted. So you can see here's the file. I'm just going to copy that to my server now, and then go over to my ThinManager server on the network. Users folder, my user, we'll put in the downloads. We'll replace it. So I already have done it. Just wanted to show you for the build process, and then I can go over to the ThinManager server. I can do install container image. I can delete any previous versions of the container. By default, ThinManager uses the newest version of the same name container. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this because the image name is what's important. So whatever has the latest version of this terminal proxy ignition vision is what's going to be used. It's not the file name itself. So usually what I do is I remove this guy, and then I add it back. There it is. Gonna let it upload. And then this is going to freeze up for a little bit while it's loading it onto the server. But assuming we get no error and then this pops up after it's done, it'll be a successful install of the container. And that's what we want to see. So for that reason, sometimes the Windows goes to the background. So let's go. Okay, there we go. We went to go click to get back to the thing, and then you can see that pop back up. And that is my container. So to apply that to my terminal, I make a container display client. And then I say, here's my container application, Ignition Vision. And then important thing is I say to run on the thin client that I put the display client onto, and I give it 3 gigabytes of RAM, but I probably only want to give it 2. This is just for testing. So I'm going to put 2 here for future. Click OK. And then you can reboot the terminal. So if you already have a container applied to a terminal and you're doing a bunch of testing, rebooting the terminal is the easiest way to get the container to re-download the latest version. So if you're revving versions 1.15, 1.16, 1.17, you're going to want to force that to re-download the latest container with the reboot. So you just go here, tools, and you can do a reboot, and that will apply the container. So we'll let this reboot. One way that you can test the container before you get to the terminal is that you can go to your Linux image here. I think I know why the error popped up on the other one. So see how I have two tabs here? I'm already running this container. So we're gonna do a quit, exit. There we go. And you'll notice that I can do the run.sh command, and then this runs my container with a console session of the container. So I could see the file system of the container right at the root, and I could do stuff like show the start script, and it's gonna give me output the start script. I could explore the file structure for the Vision client. And then you can see that I have the script and the jar file right here for the Vision client launcher. So it's a very useful thing to be able to do. So this is the container running, but really what's useful is trying to see if the GUI itself works. So I will go and issue this command to run x freerdp, bind to port 3390 with the user being user and the password is Z, ignoring certificates. And then I'm going to run the shell of LX terminal, so it's going to run a terminal. Just so you're aware, this is the stuff that we specified in the run.sh. We bound the RDP port 3289 to 3390 with this username and password here. User is always user for this container, and then the password we have specified Z. So, and then this is the container image that we're running. So let us go back here. We're going to issue the command. This is the wrong one. Let me go back. Okay, we're going to issue the command, and it should pop up xrdp. You could see that it launches a session with the terminal. And so I could test my startup script. Let's do start.sh. And you'll see that my ignition demo actually works within the RDP session right here. And it loads and it acts as if it's running the terminal. But it's not the same because I actually had to go to the terminal and launch it. So this is just kind of a diagnostic step for us to be able to test and see if it works. And so here we go. We have everything front and center for us to look at, and we can just try it out and see how it works. You can see graphing right there. I don't think I have the historical data set up correctly, so it's not working, but you just kind of see that you can go through the different HMI screens and things are working. As far as the live data goes, we have some live data here. So it's pretty cool. When we're done, what we can do is we can X out of here. We can stop the container by issuing the command exit. And then the container is not running any longer on the computer. By the way, if you want to see the currently installed Docker images, you can say sudo docker image. And then we can look at what images I have. I might have a lot. Oh, it's sudo docker images. So let me do it right. Widgets. There we go. And you can see I have been through a lot of revisions of the container. So I have a ton of container images. And what I'm going to do later is I'm going to go through, I'm going to clean up using the docker rm command, but not right now. And then this ThinManager terminal proxy Chrome is something that we preload from the downloads.thinmanager.com. There's a special command that you can use to load in the container, and that is specified on GitHub. Let me see here. So it says download the latest Docker container image, and then this docker load I with the file name .targz is what we want to use to get that loaded in there. So we go to downloads.thinmanager.com. Redirects us to thinmanager.com/downloads. And if we go all the way down here, here are the container images. We just want to grab the latest version of Chrome. This we're going to want to update as well. in the scripts that we used to build the container. So if I go back here, build.sh, and then we have the terminal proxy right there. See this right here, we have to update that name to put the right version. I think that's basically it. So we can go back to ThinManager. We can please see our container running. And it's right there. So we are all good to go. Hope this was helpful for you. Please refer to the README on the GitHub. That is the authoritative knowledge place where you can get knowledge about containers and kind of the troubleshooting steps of anything that's special. So if you go to the GitHub and you look at this, there's actually some troubleshooting steps as well. And all the testing things that we did right here, I explained. Good luck. May the force be with you.